was the last answer?
The last one was x squared plus 3x minus 10, I think. Yeah. If the roots are -4 and +7, Hurley, what were the factors?
X plus 4 equals 0. X minus 7 equals 0.
Very good. So that means we had x plus 4 times x minus 7 equals 0. And then when you FOILed this back together, what did you get? Hurley.
The answer.
Yeah. Oh, you get the answer. Okay. I thought you were saying, do I give you the answer? No, you do get the answer. Jasmine, what'd you get? Equals 0. There you go. X squared minus 3x minus 28 equals 0. It's a quadratic equation. Very good. Okay. One more, and then we're going to do a word problem. All right, and I want you to see this because now the roots are fractions, okay? Now, be careful. You don't just add 3/5 and 1/3 to both sides. Let's go back to this real quick and show you something. This one. When one of your factors had a coefficient of x, what happened to its solution? It was in the form of a fraction. So if our solution is in the form of a fraction, that means that it's going to look something like this. Okay? So the way we're going to do that, look at that. Sorry I bored you so. If one of my answers was 1/2,
2x.
it's 2x, what? Minus 1. Because I would multiply both sides by 2 and then subtract 1. So one of my factors is 2x minus 1. And if the other one was x equals 1/3, what's the other factor? 3x minus 1 equals 0. And then we FOIL that back together.
So it's pretty much like
Right. Exactly. Because you'd have to do the opposite to get it back on the other side. Who, you had a question?
oh no, I get it.
What's that? I just didn't hear. I'm not saying like don't talk dummy or nothing like that. I just didn't hear. You figured it out? What do you need? Huh? Oh.
Yeah, I think you heard him in slide.
6x squared minus 5x plus 1 equals 0 was the fraction that belongs to it. Okay? Here. All right. You two back there who are not getting it. All right. If I have 2x minus 1 equals 0 and I want to solve for it, first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. Then I'm going to divide by 2, right? And I get x equals 1/2. We're starting with x equals 1/2 and we're trying to go backwards. So the first thing that I would do is get rid of the denominator, which would make me multiply. See here, I divided. Well, now I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Then here I added 1 to get it over here. Well, over here I'll subtract 1 to get it back. To give me my factor of 2x minus 1. So we're just working backwards from the other way when we know the equation to begin with and we're looking for the solution. Because we can't have fractions in quadratic equations. It's got to be integers, whole numbers. Okay, I have another example with fraction before we do our word problems. See if you can figure out what the two factors are without setting it up and going through all the shebang.
Would it be negative 5x?
Plus 3. Negative 3/5. What would that factor be? 5x plus 3. Because you would multiply x by 5 and then add 3. Negative 1/3 would be what? 3x plus 1. Okay? We need to get into the habit of seeing those things transform from one to the other. So that it's just really easy to go from one way or the other. And then we FOIL this back together. FOIL that. Parker, what'd you get?
15x squared.
I know, that's why I called on you. James, what did you get?
15x squared minus.
Nope.
15x squared.
Where do you see a minus sign?
My math is messed up.
Well, there's no minus signs anywhere, though.
I just messed up on my paper.
Plus 14x
Plus 3.
plus 3 equals 0. 15x squared plus 14x. How do we get 14? 9 plus 5. 9 plus 5 is 14. And then last times last gave me 3. Okay, so far we've taken a quadratic equation and we've gotten down to the roots. What were the 3 steps? Set it equal to 0. Factor.
Zero.
Set each factor equal to 0 and solve. We've also started with the roots and gotten back to the equation, which is just the opposite of the other things, okay? Now, how does this apply for real? Okay. But you may say, well, I won't ever need to know this, but suppose you're making, suppose you want to fence in your backyard or you want to fence in a pasture. And you know what kind of area you're looking for and you know about what kind of dimensions you need to know how much fencing material you're going to need to go buy. Okay? You can figure out, you can maximize your area, you can minimize whatever. But let's look at this. We have a rectangle where the length is 5 inches more than the width. Okay, now let's look at the thinking behind this. Here's your width. We don't know it, so we say W. The length is 5 more than that. So I don't add 5 to L. I add 5 to W because it's 5 more than the width. It says the area of the rectangle is 24. How do you find area of a rectangle?
L times W.
You multiply length times width. Well, I'm going to multiply these two dimensions together to get my area of 24. Okay? Now it says find the dimensions of the, and I can't spell rectangle. Okay? So we're going to find the dimensions of the rectangle. Now how do we do that? This is a quadratic equation. We're going to put it together, set it equal to 0, factor and solve. Okay? No, it's not, because right now it's equal to 24. It's not equal to 0. So, I've got distributing here. I've got W squared plus 5W equals 24. What should I do?
Move 24 to the other side.
Move 24 to the other side. Then factor. What are factors of 24 that subtract to give you 5?
12 and 2. No. 8 and 3.
8 and 3. To subtract to get plus 5, it's got to be plus 8 minus 3, right? What does W represent?
The width.
The width. So my width is either negative 8 inches or positive 3 inches.